Hi, my name is Alex Highsmith, and I am here to teach you on how to properly train athletes with sickle cell trait. So, what is sickle cell disease? Well, it's a disorder that affects hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is a molecule in red blood cells that transports oxygen to cells throughout the body. This causes cells to form into a crescent-like shape. Another common name for sickle cell disease is also sickle cell anemia. Now moving on, what is sickle cell trait? People who have sickle cell trait inherit one sickle cell gene and one normal gene. They do not have the disease and also do not show symptoms of the disease. So, who is affected by this disease? Sickle cell disease and sickle cell trait affect millions of people worldwide. Most of the people affected by this disease are African or Hispanic Americans. It is also the most common blood disorder in the United States. Symptoms of sickle cell disease include headaches, shortness of breath, and pain. Pain throughout the body is called sickle cell crisis, and symptoms of a sickle cell crisis include strokes, anemia, and severe infections. There are many different ways to treat people who have sickle cell disease. Some of them include drinking fluids, having blood transfusions, and taking pain medicines. Sickle cell trait can definitely affect an athlete's performance. They are more likely to experience heat strokes or muscle breakdowns. Sickle cell trait can prevent them from reaching their full potential, and because of this, they have to limit themselves physically when training. Can you guess what all these athletes have in common? If you can't, they all have been affected by or have died from complications due to sickle cell trait. Here, I'm going to tell you what athletic directors, coaches, and trainers can do to protect athletes with sickle cell trait. Here are some things that athletic directors need to do. First, they need to identify the athletes with sickle cell trait by getting information from pre-participation sports screenings. Next, they need to notify school trainers by giving them a list of athletes with sickle cell trait, and then notify the coaching staff by also giving them a list of athletes with sickle cell trait. Here's what coaches need to do. First, they need to identify the athletes with sickle cell trait by getting the information from the list provided by the athletic director. Next, they need to communicate with the trainers and come up with a plan for supporting the athletes with sickle cell trait, and then notify the assistant coaches and come up with a plan to properly train the athletes. Here are some things that trainers can do. First, they need to identify the athletes with sickle cell trait by getting information from a list provided by the athletic director. Then they need to communicate with coaches by making sure they are aware of proper training techniques. And finally, they need to meet with athletes by educating them on sickle cell trait and making them aware of proper training techniques. Here are some things that athletes with sickle cell trait can do themselves. First, they should meet with trainers and discuss proper training techniques. Next, they should educate themselves and others. They should take time on their own to learn more about sickle cell disease and also educate family members and friends and let them know more about the disease. Relating back to what I just said, coaches and trainers need to pay more attention to athletes with sickle cell trait. They need to give them more fluids and allow them extended recovery time between exercises and drills. Both coaches and trainers need to be more aware of this disease. With knowledge of this disease, they will know how to properly and safely train athletes, can help them reach their full potential, and can also show them what they need to limit themselves to when training. I hope this helped raise your awareness of sickle cell disease. Thank you for your time.